Alright, in this video I'm going to show you some basic drafting. Specifically, we're going to cover lettering and line types first, okay? So one, why do you have to letter? Yeah, you feel like you're going back to elementary school. Get over it, cupcake. I mean, this is the way it goes. Your lettering has to be neat and printed because it has to be legible between you and your client and whomever ends up doing the final drawing. So again, I can't tell you the number of times I've had to sit at a dining table or in the hood of a truck and write something out. So you have to be able to letter properly. All the work you turn into me must be lettered neatly and properly from this point on out, or you lose 10 points off the top. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's no questions to it. Alright, so this first part is simple to practice. Let's practice lettering. So we look here and we're going to go through it. Now, if you have never done any kind of lettering before in your life and you have no clue, I've included a little sheet that's in the unit that shows you the correct strokes that you're supposed to take. But you are literally going to go through and practice drawing using your 0.7 lettering. I mean, literally, okay? I want you to go through and do this to the best of your ability. Practice the lettering. So you'll draw each letter 6 times. Some of the ones that are harder to follow through are like the S. Notice, did I pick my pencil up when I drew that S? No. So you just need to kind of practice and get through them. Some of them are harder to do than others. The reason why the S is easier for me to do is because my last name used to be Shear, and so I had to write S all the freaking time. The more times you have to draw something, the better you get at it. When you get here to the bottom, you're literally just going to practice drawing the sentence to the best of your ability. Try to make sure you're following the lettering techniques and that you're using kerning. Kerning simply means you're spacing. And we just go through there. So it's always going to be printed and it's always going to be nice and neat. If you're doing architectural, you may have a slightly different one, but for right now we're just doing basics. The main thing to remember is use only capital letters. That's a drafting rule that we always follow. Always use caps. Everything's done in caps. So you're going to practice on this side. Then our next sheet here. These are the alphabet of lines. These are the different types of lines that you will draw. You're literally going to practice drawing the line type. So the first one is a visible line. This is practice drawing. You are not drafting. You are not using a straight edge. You're going to do this all freehand. So you're going to draw a visible line. A visible line is not the darkest line, but pretty dark line, straight line. Hidden lines. Well, they show us inside of an object. So like here it's referring to this. See the little dash, dash, dash? That means that there is something inside of that view, inside of that object, that you can't see, but you need to know it's there. Like for an example, the hole right here. So our hidden lines are going to be lighter, dash, dash, dash. You're looking for a uniformity of the length of your dash and a break in between. And it's not quite as dark as your visible line. Visible lines should be darker than your hidden lines. Alright, section lines. These are going to be light lines also. Section lines are here. Same object, we have it going through, and you'll notice now that you see these are also referred to as your hatch lines. What do these mean? This means this is the material of the object. We've pretended we've taken a knife and we sliced it in half. So we're going to draw our section lines. So I'm going to practice by rough sketching the object there to the right. This is not a perfect sketch because we are just practicing sketching. The hole comes through there. Center lines. And then I'm going to practice my hatch marks. So those section lines, those hatch marks, so the 45. So the object line will be darker. And then your hatch lines will come in here and they'll be kind of dark, but not the darkest. Your visible lines should be darker. They should be on a 45 and they should be darker. Again, we're freehand sketching this, so I'm not going to get too upset with you as long as you're practicing it. This is just a sketch, practice, learn. Center line's pretty straightforward. It shows the center of an arc or circle. dash in the middle, break, long. So a lot of times I'll call this as the long, short, long, long, short, long. So long, break, short, long, break, short, and then so forth. All right, dimension, extension, and leaders. This is where it gets to be a little confusing for some. All right, your extension line is what comes off the object here, but that's their dimension. The dimension is actual line that has your leaders with the measurement in it. So we'll practice here. So this, if we're dimensioning something, those are your extension lines. Next, actual dimension line is a line that comes in between it. And then you would have a measurement. Let's say we'll recreate this one, which is an 86. Notice how my text height is about the same. Didn't change it up. I kept it the same height, approximately 1/4 inch tall, so forth. If I get a little close to it, I can erase. And I can get my eraser shield if I can't get any closer to that, but for right now, this is just to show you that part. And then you need your leaders. And leaders are typically an arrow, closed arrow, especially when we're doing engineering. Or if you're doing architectural, it'll be a 45 miter hatch mark. Cutting plane or your viewing plane. This is if you need to go in and you need to cut an object to show those section and hatch lines like what we have up here. So, for that one, it is very similar to a center line and a hidden line kind of combo. I've seen it both ways. Typically, they're going to be really dark hidden line. That same dash. Notice it's really dark, super dark, with arrows pointing in the direction of what's being removed. This is the part that's being cut and removed. Short breaks, pretty straightforward. Let's say we're dealing with something, for an example, a wrench. And the handle of the wrench is 5 foot long for whatever reason. And actually, I've seen diesel truck wrenches that are that long. You don't need to draw all that area. And we obviously don't want to try to fit it in, so we use a break. Well, you have a short break and you have a long break. Short break is pretty simple. So here's our visible of the object, right? Oops. We're going to make mistakes, it's going to happen. Okay, short break is real easy. It's just a jagged, something like that. That's all it is. With a short break on that side. That's it. So that lets us know that this continues throughout the whole thing. So we've just not drawn that section that's missing. A long break is the same thing. It's showing the same similar thing, except for this one, it's over a long distance. And this one is often referred to as the heartbeat, because that's what it reminds most students of. Heartbeat. Phantom lines, what are they good for? Phantom lines show you if you've got like the arm of something and in the direction of which it rotates, the direction in which it's going. And phantom lines are essentially really just a light center line. So for here we're going to show, and we're just going to recreate the arc here. So here's my phantom line. So it's a light, long, short, long, short, long, and it's showing where an object comes from. So in this particular case, there it is. That's what we're dealing with. We've got long, short, long, short, long, short, long. So it's just practicing drawing, just to practice for us. Okay, stitch and chain are very similar. Stitch is literally like if we're working in sheet metal, and it's where items are going to fold together and essentially be spot welded together. Stitch is real hard. The thing is to keep them the same size and in the same distance apart. They're just dots. Okay, that's all it is. It's not that big of a deal. It's just dots. A chain line shows where different things will end up coming together eventually. And chain line is really just, again, center line, but darker. So we'll practice that one. It's just, again, that long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short. And if you can't do that with your 0.7, get out your 0.9. Same thing. See how I can draw almost the exact same thing with my 0.9? Because I've been doing this for a long darn time. Alright, that's basic lettering and line types.